What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old royal humor, man.
Royal humor, man.
Yeah.
We should have gotten crowns, no, for today's podcast.
Why, celebrate.
Just soak up in the glory of what happened this past weekend.
Are you saying that as a valued member of the Commonwealth group of nations, or just in general, just as an observer?
Both. What defines a valued member of the Commonwealth, Terrence?
No, I mean, we are one of the nations of the Commonwealth. Singapore is one of the nations of the Commonwealth, right?
Singapore is, yeah.
And as far as I've been seeing online, a lot of Commonwealth countries were, people were having parties, like coronation parties, where they get together and watch the live stream of the coronation and things like that. I'm not sure. Did you experience anything like that over the weekend?
I don't know anyone who organized coronation parties. I know people were watching it. But I mean, it was a bit more subdued than I thought overall with regards to Singapore. But we're jumping into the topic already.
Yeah.
We never do our small talk, like how was your weekend, Terrence?
No, but this is the small talk. Yeah.
But then it's like medium talk lah. It's not really small talk, but it's not really big talk. So, related talk. Related talk. But aside from the coronation, which we will jump into, how was your weekend, Terrence?
Pretty awesome, man. Pretty awesome. Weather was nice. Checked out some nice places around Singapore. Yeah. How about you?
Same. Like I went for a friend's yacht party yesterday. My first ever yacht party. I mean, it wasn't like a super happening yacht party for youngsters. Like my friends was celebrating his wife's 50th birthday. So it was people of that age, but all very fun. And yeah, the yacht party, interesting experience.
Nice.
Yeah, yacht.
Welcome to the 1%.
Yeah,
1% lifestyle.
I felt as I was walking, I was like, man, I could get used to this.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But cool, man.
Cool.
But before we jump to all that royal talk, is there anything that you want to plug for the podcast?
Just a regular shout out to, if you have listened to this podcast, if it has brought you some joy or some sort of emotion, good and maybe sometimes not so good, because once in a while it's good to have a not so good emotion in your system. It would be great if you could share it with at least one person who may not have heard of us. Because now it's nice that when I see friends or listeners, they actually say, "Hey, I did what you all asked. I told one person," and I'm like, "Oh, well done, man."
Who did that?
Recently, someone told me that they have a cousin in Australia who came down. Who I don't know whether came down, but they were talking, and then he introduced his cousin in Australia to our podcast. Singaporean guy living there, and now he's an avid listener. So if you're in Australia and were introduced to this podcast by that one person, shout out to you, man.
Shout out to you, fellow Commonwealth member. Right?
Yeah, fellow Commonwealth. God save the king, man.
God save the king. Yeah. But no, someone also did tell me that they let their kids listen to our podcast.
Is it?
The toddler kids. And
toddler
then they're
kids,
like, remember this voice? Remember this voice when I met a kid, So it's like, okay. Just have to be careful of what we say sometimes when we know that kids listening as well.
But we have said this how many times before? But does it change the way you talk? I don't think we should. I think kids need to be introduced to the real world out there, man.
When necessary.
When necessary, correct.
It's better that you experience it here with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Than out there in the argument on the streets or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. As we use it to describe, say the weather or something someone has done, as opposed to being directed at them, at you.
Yeah. This is a safe space for that kind of language. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a safe space.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Cool, man.
Yeah, but speaking of safe spaces, this is, I think today's discussion is quite interesting because, it all happened, it's about something big that happened over the weekend, right?
Yeah, correct.
And what is that?
It was the coronation of King Charles, who I believe is the 41st person to have a coronation, with the first coronation happening in 1066.
Wow.
So it It happened over the past weekend. It happened on Saturday.
Mm,
And yeah, so I mean, it was live stream. I know, like for many hours.
mm,
Of course, one big thing was the role and appearance of Harry at the
mm, mm.
coronation. But generally, yeah, like the there were a lot of articles. There was a lot of coverage around it, and just we're gonna dive into it.
Yeah, yeah. You said that you knew that people were watching it, lah, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you have a chance to watch it yourself with your family
My
and all?
my my wife was kind of like turning it on, off and on, because
Yeah.
she enjoys the royal family and all the stuff happening around it.
Mm,
I
mm,
know a few friends also. They were just tuning in, having it in the background and stuff like that.
mm, mm.
Yeah. So what about you?
Yeah, yeah, I did. It was live streamed on YouTube. So yeah, here and there I did jump on, and it's just it was just a spectacle of the whole thing, lah.
Mm.
It was kind of ridiculous, like the whole golden carriage that brought them to from one place to another.
Yeah, that
I don't know if you
was.
saw that.
I saw that.
I thought it was like a fucking parody or something like that. Like a freaking golden like horse carriage, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like what you would see at a school play. Like this one probably was gold plated. I'm guessing it was gold
Yeah.
plated, right? But it
Yeah.
looks so tacky. So I mean, okay,
Mm.
overall, right? How much of a shit did you give about the coronation?
I probably wouldn't have bothered, but knowing that Harry was going to be there, it made it a bit more like, oh, what's going to happen? How's it going to be? And all that, you know.
Mm.
Because I don't know about you, but I've watched several seasons of The Crown and enjoyed the back and forth between Harry and I mean, not say I enjoyed it lah, but it's kind of we've all observed it and all have had opinions about it. We've talked about even the South Park episode that made fun of Harry and Meghan before and all, right?
Mm.
So this is just another chapter in the story lah to me.
I see. Because
Mm.
I mean, for me, even taking into account Harry's presence there, Harry's role, I really could not give a shit.
Yeah.
Like I really did not have any interest in watching it, or the only reason why I'm we're talking about it now is because I mean it is a global thing, right? So when I think about
Mm,
it,
mm,
it does have some sort of global impact. I wouldn't say global relevance, but it
mm,
is a piece of content that is consumed around the world, lah. So from that
mm.
perspective, I'm like, okay, this is still an international event, lah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can disagree with the event, but you can't deny that it was a spectacle, like you said.
Mm,
London, there were, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people on the street.
yeah,
Right.
that's right.
I know. Even during the Premier League games, apparently, like when they were playing or some song, the fans at the games were booing because it is
Yeah.
also quite a polarizing thing, lah.
Yeah, the national
Right.
anthem. I think the
The national anthem.
Liverpool fans were jeering during the national anthem being played in
Yeah.
honor of the new king, lah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course the additional drama piece of Harry's appearance, lah.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
So
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
there is a whole movement, lah. You're not alone in thinking that way because there's a whole movement. I think the hashtag that they use is "Not My King," to signify the general aversion to this whole spectacle of the monarchy and the royal family and the extravagance, lah, basically. And I think like one photo I saw that really encapsulated all that was someone did an aerial shot of that golden horse carriage you mentioned,
Mm,
and it was traveling on just road lah, right?
yeah.
But there were a ton of potholes on the road. But over time, I don't know, maybe there's no budget to fix the potholes in the road, so they filled it with wet sand apparently to cover up those potholes while the carriage was going over the road lah. So people
Oh.
are saying, yeah, this is a country that literally doesn't have money to like fix the potholes on the road, but it has the money for a fucking golden horse carriage to carry this guy from one place to another.
Oh shit.
So that juxtaposition was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean it is fully state funded, lah. Right.
Yeah.
It is fully
Yeah.
state funded, and yeah, there were protests also apparently. And a survey apparently done in April this year suggested that the British public was ambivalent toward the event.
That's
I
right.
guess maybe for people outside of the UK, like if I watch it, it's like I'm watching a reality TV show.
Yeah, it is. Really
Yeah.
is.
So it really is. But if I was there, right, I think I would also feel like, why are we doing this? Why are I mean, even when it comes to events in Singapore like F1, which
Yeah.
is a commercial event, it's
Mm,
not really state funded fully.
mm, mm, mm,
Already people have polarizing views lah. If it's something like this, like NDP in Singapore also got some polarizing views, right?
But Harish, you're sounding like the kind of guy that nobody wants to invite to parties. Tell me, when you were on the
Hey,
yacht,
I
when
just
you were
went
on
to a
the
yacht party yesterday.
when you were
Okay?
on your yacht
So-
party holding a champagne flute with your little pinky out like this, were you thinking to yourself, why am I here? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we celebrating? Were you thinking that also? Tell me.
Of course I was. Of course I was. And there was
Hashtag
no
not
champagne.
not my
no
yacht party.
champagne.
Not my yacht party. Is that what you're saying?
No lah. I mean, it was a bit of a surreal experience, but I won't deny it. I had a good time. I had a good time.
Yeah,
But
so maybe people
there's
will
not-
just want to have a good time with the coronation parties and all so.
yeah,
Right?
but the who paid for the yacht party? My friend. Right. I didn't pay for it. So, but if I had to pay for it, I'd be like, yo, why the fuck are we going on this yacht? It's not cheap. Why can't we go somewhere else? But I didn't have to pay for it. I'm like, yippee!
But I mean,
Yeah.
there are arguments that the royal family and all these trappings of the monarchy, they are a tourist magnet itself, right? From UK. So I mean, I think millions of people were watching this ceremony and you seeing Westminster Abbey. It's like how when people saw Marina Bay Sands during the F1 night race for the first time. I remember sitting in a room with I was in New York City. I was like with a bunch of international friends, and we were watching it together, and they were like, "Wow, Singapore looks pretty awesome," And that was their first taste of Singapore, and just understanding what Singapore is like. Even though they literally knew me, and some of them even lived with me for like a couple of years, they never knew that Singapore looked like that. Don't you think the royal family does that for the UK?
But I mean, the UK is already so much in pop culture. The royal family is in pop culture. I don't think that views of Westminster Abbey was things that were new to people. I mean, the one thing that it is interesting is the last coronation of the head of state was done in 1953 for Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So it's almost 70 years since this process happened. And to correct myself, it's the 40th coronation and not the 41st. But the one thing that made me feel like, oh, actually this is quite cool is the fact that it has been running since 1066 lah.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
So a whole 1,050 years or something like that, right? Yeah, almost.
Yeah. Then you're like, oh
That's crazy.
shit. How many processes are there around that go back that far lah? So in that sense, then I'm like, oh, I do believe in preserving heritage and culture. And if this is the heritage and culture of the UK, is it a bad thing? Maybe it should be preserved.
Yeah. And don't forget, like what you said, the last time this happened for Queen Elizabeth was in 1953. So a lot of commentators were saying the amazing thing about this coronation and the difference is that you got to see it in color, in full HD or even 4K, close up. You got to see it live. And back then it was a black and white grainy TV that you saw this stuff. So the details of the ceremony, all these have been preserved for eternity, And then I think for anyone who is old enough to have watched the ceremony back then to see today, it's amazing, right? To be able to experience this versus how it was like almost 70 years ago,
Yeah. But I mean, because of like the higher tech cameras and all that, there's a lot more analysis of how people behave, lah.
Yeah.
And herein we go into the drama that was unfolding quite subtly in the background because Harry, and I think people refer to him now as Harry, right? Not Prince Harry, right?
Still Prince Harry, as far as I saw, yeah.
Prince Harry.
Prince Harry, yeah.
So he, I mean, in the lead up to this, there was a lot of like questions that will Harry come? Will Meghan Markle come? Will they bring their kids? And there was a lot of talk about that. So in the end, he RSVP'd that he would come. Initially, he planned that he'd be there for 2 days, and then it got shortened to 1 day. So there's so many clips of his entrance where he was sitting. He was seated in the third row, not with functioning members of the royal family or practicing or something. He was with a few of his cousins. There was a meme about how the person in front of him, her feather boa was blocking his face. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he left quite abruptly also lah, just to head to the
Mm,
airport and go back to celebrate his kid's fourth birthday, which
yeah.
was the same day, I believe.
Yeah. There's the
Right?
excuse, lah, right? That Meghan Markle also used that why she wasn't attending. She
Yeah,
was going to stay and take care of the kids and celebrate the kid's birthday, lah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it seemed like Prince Harry, yeah, maybe he wanted to be there longer, but the whole thing, yeah, just was very awkward for him, lah, in some ways. And it's amazing because if you really Google it, you can see all the, I think, body language experts and PR people breaking down every move that he made during the whole ceremony, like
yeah. Even lip
how
readers.
lip readers, how he adjusted his his suit and what suit he was wearing and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of scrutiny on that, all that, yeah. But what do you think when you were reading all these things about Prince Harry?
I mean, to me, it's like, wow, fuck, all this drama. Every family already got drama. Why do I need to
Mm-hmm.
care about someone else's family drama? You know,
Yeah.
especially when it doesn't affect the policies of the country. You know, like in Singapore with that Oxley family drama, there's already
Mm-hmm.
like you can see some repercussions, like, you know, there's talk of inequality, the power dynamics. You know, so for this one, I was like, oh, shit. I found it hard to give a shit, but then at some points I also was thinking, wow, what must it feel like to be Harry, man? You know, you
Mm-hmm.
when he entered, you know, you have to walk past everybody in attendance,
Yeah.
and then you go
Yeah.
to the third row, and I'm thinking, oh my god, they shared so much in their Netflix series, their book. He
Yeah.
shared on so many people who are there, you know.
Yeah. Even his stepmom, everything also. Like,
Yeah, so then I was
says
like,
many
ugh,
things about her.
that must be feeling like shit. Then after that he left, but yeah, lah, so I don't envy his position, but at the same
Mm.
time, he kind of had a part to play in it. So I don't know. But
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah, I think the other sad things also, I don't think he was recorded or there was even time for him to have any kind of private conversation with his brother, Prince William, or his dad, Prince Charles. And a lot of people are speculating, or I think there's word in the tabloids that the King Charles and Prince William don't even want to have private conversations with him because they're so scared that he'll just take all these conversations and put them in a book or talk to
Uh,
Oprah about it and things like that. So it's like your reputation becomes like you're the snitch in the family or so, like, which is like,
mm,
probably the worst thing that you can be for any group of people, right?
mm, mm,
But there were also people who were hoping for some chance of reconciliation between him and the family.
mm,
But yeah, it's such a short visit that he wouldn't get it. But actually, in this sense, right, like I was just thinking over the weekend because, yeah, I met some, people from the UK and all who were generally quite positive about the whole thing.
mm,
And don't you think that because of everything that Harry and Meghan have been up to in the past couple of years, right, since they stepped down and kind of overdid it, and it's kind of been kind of gross how they've done it, and they've been parodied even in South Park. It kind of like they've become the villain, in a way,
mm,
in this
mm,
whole monarchy story, and it's almost like if you're almost sympathetic towards this 74-year-old King Charles, who has to deal with this really troublesome son and daughter-in-law, and Prince William, who's just trying to fulfill his royal duties, but he gets all his dirty laundry aired by his little brother and things like that. You almost feel like kind of sympathetic towards them, right? Do you think?
sympathetic
And
towards King Charles, or
yeah,
Prince
the
William.
royal family, like the royal
Oh, the
family,
royal
just
family.
trying to, like what you said, like just trying to do that thing, right? And just trying to uphold a tradition and all these things. And there's this guy who just keeps coming and keeps using the private conversations to sell Netflix documentaries and things like that.
Mm,
In some sense, maybe there's been a bit of a turn towards people like, okay, we'll just like screw whatever Harry and Meghan are doing in the US, and the royal family is about tradition. It's about keeping important traditions alive, lah. Do you get this sense at all, like from you asking people why they watch the coronation and things like that?
um, I mean, the sense I get is more that it is a spectacle.
Mm,
It's an international event. It's just stuff you wouldn't see on a day-to-day basis, like, and because it's live stream, it's
mm,
literally happening as you watch.
mm.
Yeah, I think the motivation about the family drama and all, that one was a bit less. I think that one just makes it a bit spicier. Lah.
Spicier.
Spicier. But like let's say you have chicken rice, you would
Yeah.
enjoy chicken rice. The chili is
Yeah.
like a bonus. But even without chili, chicken rice is still nice.
No,
You know?
man. Chicken rice must have the chili. That's why
Dude, if
Harry, you need Harry. You need Harry to do his thing.
If you just have chicken rice, like the rice on its own with a bit of soya sauce and the garlic, is like it's good already, you know. It's good.
Must,
Even the
must have
chicken,
the chili.
the chili brings
chili is
everything
part of it.
together. The chili brings
Exactly.
everything together. But without the chili, it would still be nice. Would it be as nice? No, but it'll still be something that you don't eat every day, lah.
Yeah, lah. But
So
to me, it's like the chili is the it sort of pulls you into the whole flavor, lah. So it's a non-negotiable, essential part of the experience, to me.
Actually, quite apt, right? The analogy, you know, chili red, Harry's hair red. You know, the monarchy like white. It's just steamed chicken. So it's steamed chicken rice.
And Prince William's like almost bald and already, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah, Prince William's bald. so the chili, yeah lah. But I think like going back to what you said about the whole situation, it would have been. I mean, I don't think that just from the lay person watching, I don't think it's beyond reconciliation because. Well, I think for Meghan and Harry, maybe they had a plan, but it's more the more they try and execute a plan, the bigger a hole they dig, lah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like maybe you're so far down where you want to retract everything, it looks bad on you, so you don't give up, lah. You just keep fighting that fight, but then it just feels like walao. I didn't read the book.
Yeah, it'll need a lot of time, lah, if anything, for the reconciliation to happen, lah.
Yeah, because I saw some commenters saying that in some way it would have been nice for Harry and Meghan to come for their kids. And that was a perspective that I didn't think about previously, because ultimately these kids, they are still have in some way royal blood, right?
Yeah.
Their dad may have left the royal family, but it's still his half of the family. So it would be nice for them to kind of experience that, lah. So the one commentator I saw saying that it's sad, lah, that when the adults make a decision and the kids kind of lose out. That is sad.
Yeah, it is. And not being able to, be together with the extended family. I think that's a very underrated part of growing up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Seeing your extended family and understanding the concept of like growing up with people and this is your family and all that, right?
Yeah, and I know it's not easy. I think everyone has like some sort of family drama in their lives, and it's not easy. But certain moments, especially like when your kid can experience something, I think both parties you just put aside your differences
Yeah,
and then for the kid, you don't need to go overboard like buy presents for the kids or make the kids give a speech or something. But just a bit of a teaser into it So that was sad. And it just feels like this whole thing is so weird, man. It's so weird. And I bet every family also has like the Harry and Meghan or the Prince William or Kate in their extended families also.
Yeah. But actually, one thing is that we did as Singapore, we did have representation there, right?
Yeah, we did.
I think Halima attended, right?
Yeah.
So, at least our Commonwealth status was represented there, right?
Yeah. I mean, even when the Queen Elizabeth passed away, I think it was Halima also.
That's right.
If you got a ticket to go to the coronation, I'm sure you will go, right?
I mean, it's part of the whole spectacle. And I mean,
man.
I think the coronation concert, I don't know if you saw clips of it.
I saw.
Katy Perry,
Lionel
Richie all performed. So, it's a big deal, a big party,
Yeah.
So
I mean, if I get a ticket, same like the yacht party, I'll be like, fuck yeah, man, I'm there. I am there.
But you'll be that guy sitting in the corner like, why do people give a shit about this?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
This is
this champagne is really good. This champagne, You're that guy.
That would be me. I'm like, fuck this, fuck the system, fuck the man. But holy shit, this lamb rack is amazing. It's amazing.
Why are we wasting time here? But can you get me tickets for the coronation concert tonight? Yeah.
Exactly.
You know
But
that
yeah, lah,
guy.
it's a spectacle. Lah. So I mean now there are also a lot of like articles that talk about the why people should care. And one
Mm.
I read was that I mean ultimately it is part of the UK system, like it or not. They do consume a lot of funds.
Mm.
Apparently the royal family has immunity from a bunch of laws, I think 160 different laws.
Wow.
So the call for action there is people should care because it should be something that's questioned lah. In this day and age, do we still
Mm.
need something like this? Is this the best
Mm.
way to go? Should it be something that is gradually kind of abolished or lowered in terms of its global attention or even funding lah?
Yeah. It's let us know if you guys had a chance to watch the live stream and general thoughts about it. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear what Singaporeans think about it as well.
Yeah, especially if you are from the UK, based in Singapore, or
Yeah.
from the UK, wherever you are listening to this, would be great. And I guess the best way would be through Instagram and our Reddit.
Yeah. The best thing about all this is that it was all live streamed and you had a choice whether you wanted to watch it or not. But next story, some of the participants of this art installation piece at the National Gallery didn't really have a choice, lah. And that is causing a little bit of debate. And what is this story about?
It was regarding an exhibit. It's an art show at the National Gallery where there were live chickens as part of the exhibition. So I mean, some people said like, oh, isn't this an animal welfare issue that the poultry were used there, of course, without their consent, but then they're just like a prop lah. So is that good? Is that bad? So the exhibition is called See Me See You. It's a early video installation of Southeast Asia. So it recreates and showcases all the artists from the region and how they first incorporated the use of video into their artwork during the 80s and the 90s. So the artwork with the chickens is called How to Explain Art to a Bangkok Cock by a Thai artist, Dr. Apinan Poshananda, and it features an unnamed person attempting to explain the famous artwork Mona Lisa to several live chicks and chickens.
That's
yeah,
right.
that's the artwork. At first, I thought when I saw this, I was like, "Hey, wasn't there an exhibition? Wasn't there a physical installation a few weeks ago with live chickens also in some HDB estate in Singapore?" But this is totally different. Yeah, this is totally different.
Totally different, yeah. But and also unrelated to the I think there's a lot more live chickens in our parks and all these days, right?
Yeah, totally unrelated.
I think these are rescued chickens that have been used for this installation. But I think there is some debate about whether the welfare of the chicken is is a factor is a consideration factor, right? In terms of using them for this art piece. But when you saw this piece of news, why did it stir up in you such that you wanted to talk about it so badly?
I mean, because it's one of those things that is it that clear cut that the chickens are being abused? Maybe they have like the best life ever, like taken care of, given food, and compared to chickens, I don't know, in the factory farms where they all clusterfuck together and just laying eggs and clawing each other's eyes out. Then I was like, okay. Is it that bad? But at the same time, if it's art, if it's a man-made thing for other humans, where that live animals are just like a prop, is that good lah? What about you?
I think it was a very apt. It's a very apt discussion now because literally over the weekend, I actually had the chance to go and visit the new bird park at Mandai. It's now called Bird Paradise. And this, because I'm one of those dads with a family membership, and also we were one of the families that got to see like an early preview of the Bird Paradise before it opens. And it's a question that also came to my mind. Yes, the Bird Paradise is beautiful. All the birds, are taken care of. They're well fed and everything there. But at the end of the day, they are under, they're all living under a net, a giant net, like a huge dome. that covers the entire bird paradise. So as how birds are, they fly, they migrate, they travel great distances and all that. Being trapped in this net, but they're well taken care of. Is that something that you would consider as good for the welfare of the birds, or are they just being imprisoned? That's the big question.
But that's the thing that is always the question with zoos, right?
That's right.
And I don't know, man. That one, I always, because on one hand, I can imagine it is quite clear a lot of zoos, they say that by making these animals accessible to the general public, you kind of understand them more as actual living things as opposed to just pictures in books. Because on one end, maybe it's only in safaris. There's no zoos around the world. But I don't know, man. I think coming face to face with a wild animal or like within distance is quite a magnificent thing, lah.
And even chickens to some extent. Because I think in Singapore, because of the very rapid urbanization in our history, right? We've almost forgotten what it's like to live alongside wildlife, right?
Yeah.
So you get people calling, in the moment they see a snake or some wild animal, they're calling the is it NEA or the I can't remember what the organization is, right? But basically calling for them, can you please remove all these wild animals from these areas and all, which is very hard to do, right? So in some sense, the education piece helps to just put animals in front of you, put animals in front of your children, so that you see that you're actually dealing with other life beings as well, right? So yeah, I can see the positives of that and the argument for that as well.
But then, okay, so the more we talk about this and the more we make the comparison with zoos, right? Like zoos, okay, there are negatives to what they are trying to do, but there's also positives because they're trying to educate people and like be like, yo, this lion is the fucking living thing, Like you can see, you can look into its eyes, But the zoo is about spreading knowledge of animals, lah. Whereas for this one, it's almost just getting the message of the artist across. And that's where it feels like, I mean, you go there, you don't learn about the chickens, lah, right?
But that's it. I think the museum has allowed the non-profit that is rescued the chickens to have a session where they talk about what they do as well. I think that was over the weekend. So they are providing some avenues for the public to learn about how some chickens can be rescued and what they do in these rescue homes and things like that.
Yeah, which is a good point because shout out to the organization. It's called Chicken Rescue Rehome. And at first when I saw that, I was like, wait, where the fuck are chickens that need to be rescued in Singapore? But then there's actually a rising cases of chicken pets being abandoned.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was over COVID or over the past few years, people just feel like, you know what, like I can eat chicken for dinner, but I can also have one as a pet. And then they get chickens as pets. And then they just abandon them. And there's like a whole Facebook page that it's called Chicken Adoption Rescue SG, where people just take photos of like this duckling that's just walking around randomly around McDonald's, Ang Mo Kio. And people are saying, can anyone take care of this? You need a private property house. There are two silky chickens. They're very feathery, like almost got fur like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a whole thing. So I'm guessing this organization, they take in these chickens and they look for people to adopt, lah.
Yeah, and I think the other point of it also is that like what you mentioned, that you see these chickens wandering around, and sometimes people react very badly to them, which can be quite dangerous. Like I was just at I think Botanic Gardens over the weekend, and I witnessed a guy with walking his tiny dog, right? He allowed, rather than pull his dog away from the wild chickens that were just roaming around there, he was letting his dog chase those chickens around on a leash, right? But he was literally like running with his dog to chase the chickens. And I can imagine, and I think there were a lot of other families with young kids there who were very distressed by what he was doing, because the chickens were probably like fearing for their lives and like, what the hell, like, as if it's not hard enough to survive with snakes and everything in the gardens. Now I got to deal with this guy and a dog chasing me around. So yeah, I think it just tells you that there are some people who see chickens as merely as food or just like playthings for their dogs to accidentally catch and eat or something like that. So in some sense, I think teaching people that even if you're not a vegetarian or what, there are still humane considerations and things you shouldn't do right, to these animals when you're, even when they're not your intended to be your food or anything like that So to me, if there's an educational piece to it, why not, man? Because I think you've talked about this before, the sometimes some limited form of hunting is allowed in some of these safaris, right? And because the cost, or at least the revenue that they get from that one hunt actually sustains the conservation of all the other animals in the game area as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's the trade-off that might need to be made, lor. Yeah.
Because the more we talk about it, one thought that came to mind as you were saying is that, is how people react to these wild animals, and maybe needs a bit of educating. But when we're talking about these chickens, people taking chickens as pets, right? What do you do with a chicken pet? I assume you give it a place to stay at home. They're not wild. They're not doing stuff that chickens in the wild would do, but you shower it with like love and care, So if the people who organize this exhibition do the same, then is it wrong? It's like they are in that enclosure there, you got visitors and all, but if you keep it in your house and you have visitors, if that is accepted, why is this not accepted, lah?
Yeah, I think the worry is that the chickens are not fed properly or not taken care of properly and things like that, lah. But I think they have come out to clarify that the chickens are monitored quite closely, and the visitors are encouraged not to, or discouraged from making too much noise or approaching the chickens or anything like that, lah. So yeah, it's like, I guess what they're trying to say is like, this is like a staycation for the chickens, lah, right? It's like we go a cappella for a weekend.
You got their consent or not? You got their consent or not? If you just take your, I don't know, like your friend, and you just say, hey, I'm going to put you in Capella for like 1 weekend. You don't complain, treat it as a staycation. Your friend will be like, yo, fuck, man. Some of them, that's why some of the chickens might be enjoying it, but some of the chickens are like, get me out of this shit.
Correct. It's like you on the yacht, I guess. When the yacht finally left and then it was just in the middle of water. Yeah. And then you're like, you're stuck there forever already. Like, at least you're stuck there for next year. Then you want to leave also, you can't. That's how it felt.
No, exactly.
Like, even with all the champagne, you drinking the champagne doesn't help also. You feel like shit, right?
Yeah, before going there, I was like, oh shit, this is not like a regular party. What if it's not fun? I can't leave. Sucks. You can't leave. You can't leave.
Your yacht party. Wow, your yacht party is like the analogy of everything that is happening this weekend.
I mean, if you're organizing a yacht party, like, you have to be very, very mindful of who you're inviting, because suddenly got clash, suddenly got tension.
No, people can't seasick. If you get seasick, what happens if you get seasick? Like one person gets really seasick during the yacht party. What happens?
I mean, they said if you're seasick, you go to the top deck and then you look at the horizon.
So maybe that's what they tell the chickens. If you don't like it here, you go and look at the Mona Lisa. You go and look at the Mona Lisa and stare at it.
You go and look. You don't look at anything here. You go and look at the far thing.
Yeah.
So then another question, because I think we have had one video shoot in the past where we featured a dog, and that was your dog.
Yes, that's right.
But any other, because if just now when I said, the chickens here, they are furthering the message of the artist, and not so much like, if not for the chicken rescue home wanting to educate the public, no one will know anything about the chickens, lah. But then when for films where you use animals as props, that doesn't get that much flack. Why?
I think because they're very, at least in Hollywood or what, like, they're very strict rules for, there being a minder and the organization from which you're procuring these animals and all that, right? So even for us, when we had my dog, we literally paid, someone, a professional dog, what do you call it, a dog boarder, to come and actually help us take care of the dog while we were involved in the shoot and all that as well, right? So even though it was my own dog, I felt that it's important that the dog is surrounded with, or at least accompanied by a human that he's familiar with and all that. And also fed treats, so that he doesn't feel too bad about himself, right? I think that all these things are important, and I hope the museum has these things in place as well, where the welfare of the chickens is a priority rather than just something that they do to keep people from complaining about it. Yeah. But I guess the big question is like, after you see an exhibit like that, like as a visitor, do you think it'll make people want to eat chickens less? Like not go to KFC right after and have like a
I actually think so.
two-piece
I
of
actually think
soda?
so. I think so. I
You think so?
I think so. I think so. I mean, anytime you see like something that's alive and maybe you even like make some eye contact with it for a second, and if you're planning to go, I don't know, like KFC or something after that, I'm sure you'll be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe we go Long John Silver's, have fish and chips or something.
Fish. Yeah, so
But
you
then,
go after you go aquarium, then you can't go Long John's after
yeah.
aquarium.
But then even for those seafood restaurants where there's live fish, I mean, you don't go and see the fish, lah, right? They don't bring the fish to you saying, okay, you all be eating this fish.
Yeah. Actually, now that you say that, actually Chinese restaurants in some ways, some big Chinese restaurants, they have those water tanks where they keep the fish and whatever inside. And they do that to literally tell you how fresh the fish that you're eating is, right? Which is kind of now as you're now as you're older and all, it feels like it's kind of nasty thing to do, right?
Yeah, the fish, I mean, don't know whether they're conscious or not, but just because they're alive doesn't mean they're not like, I mean, you can be alive as a human and be sick, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas if you get hit by a bus, but you just like ran a marathon, I mean, you'll be fit, lah.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's the best analogy or not, but I think like it was just interesting to see that there was a live, because I can imagine National Gallery, it's such a icon to do this. I mean, I think it's quite cool that they try and do this kind of like interesting stuff. At least the publicity is there.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to ask, would you ever consider getting a chicken as a pet?
Not in the current, like not where I stay now, and not in Singapore, generally. I think chickens are, in general, they live a lot more. They need a much bigger area than even a dog or something. And they're much more messy than a dog, because they need a lot of like bedding and things like that all around. So you need a lot of space, I think.
And also, like, I don't think you would like cuddle a chicken or something, because the claws are damn sharp, man.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I don't know, like every once in a while on like social media, I see people with like interesting pets. I know there in the US there are people who keep otters as pets. Foxes as pets.
Yeah.
Snakes as pets.
But cats also have claws, right? Cats also have claws, right? So what's the big issue with claws?
But cats, I mean, their claws kind of can retract, and like it's not automatically there's claws, like. Whereas chickens, their claws are just there, man.
Yeah.
They're just there, and
But I would argue that it's probably easier to, like just hold on to your chicken like, under your arm compared to a cat. Like a cat will be much more fidgety and
but then the pecking, you know how fast chickens can peck or not?
Correct. Yeah.
Then what, you muzzle your chicken? Then you put your chicken on a leash.
Yeah. You muzzle your chicken, but keep your chickens away from kids, if anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, chickens cute lah. Like the silky ones, they look interesting, man. But yeah, I know, at least we know Singapore got peacock as pet, right?
Yeah, and peacocks are actually quite dangerous for for their pecking, right? They're known to peck people's eyeballs and stuff like that as well.
Is it?
Yeah, and is it jewelry as well? I think they also peck at jewelry, and then like can pluck. Or is it, am I thinking of another bird? I don't remember, but that's why there's a lot of warnings every time for kids to stay away from the wild parrots that you see in Sentosa and all.
Wild parrots or wild peacocks?
Sorry, peacocks. Yeah, and peacocks also attack cars apparently.
Oh yeah,
that one I've heard. Yeah. So it can be quite a big deal. But yeah, it's interesting. Are you going to try and check out this exhibition if you can?
I don't know whether it's still going on or not. It is. I mean, I don't think it's just a weekend. It'll still be going on.
Until September. Until September.
Until September. Yeah. So the chickens, they probably rotate the chickens lah.
I assume so. So I don't know how long each staycation would last for lah. But you probably have to rotate lah. Not a bit tougher. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
Cool,
cool.
man.
Let us know if you guys, anyone checks it out and what you thought about it. Lah. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Shall we do
Yes.
the one Shiok comment?
Yeah.
Do you?
My
Yeah.
one Shiok comment
Yeah.
is on our YouTube channel, our Ministry of Funny YouTube channel, which amazingly has just passed 1,000 subscribers. Something we're very happy about. So there seems to be a demand for people wanting to watch our podcast, and the last one that the full podcast that we posted was our interview with Joe Tan. And Anakira Japan, commented on that video that I like how Jotan is pointing out the things that people go through when they have to be in front of stage, mic, or camera. Everyone has a varying degree of comfort of being who they are, and it is okay to pick a poison. So to say, yeah, I'm not good at that, and I would rather be this. So yeah, Anakira Japan, thanks for the comment. I think it hit the nail on the head for a lot of people who I think the podcast of Joe resonated with them, because Joe Tan's a very accomplished stage performer, actress, host, and everything. But she didn't feel that she was in her element while she was a radio DJ, and she was okay with that. Like, she didn't try to drag it on longer than she needed to. And so people I think people are seeing that as a very brave and honest assessment of her own abilities as well.
Yeah, that has been a common piece of feedback from people who listen to the podcast, which is great to know. Which is great to know.
Yes.
My favorite comment is just something a lot more lighthearted. Apparently, like during the podcast, we did the last one, 393, breaking down Lawrence Wong's Mayday rally and condo band's food delivery riders. Pencil Bread said that they haven't been back in Singapore for a while, and that bird in the background audio gave them the feels. So, was that, do you recall a bird in your background audio?
I don't know. But you live on a much higher floor. You mentioned much higher than I do, right?
But then, because I mean, you do it, not with your windows open, right?
Usually closed, yeah.
Closed. I don't know. There was a bird. There was a bird in the background. I mean, whatever in the background that gave you feels. I mean, good to hear, man. Good to hear. So
yeah.
So thanks for giving it a listen.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right.
Cool.
And what is your one Shiok thing?
I think my one Shiok thing also kind of related also, and I'm not sure. I don't think you can catch it anymore. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Joe Tan's play, Happy Place, which I got to catch over the weekend, and I thought it was pretty awesome, man. Like, I think I posted one photo on our Yellowbird social media, but in general, I really enjoyed a very, I think it was only like 64 minutes or something like that. It was very short and very succinct, but it really captured a lot of the things the struggles that I think Joe was going through as a DJ, and that she talked about on our podcast. So I almost found it like our podcast was a very, very apt companion piece to her play, if you get what I'm saying. Like having done the podcast with her and knowing her struggles, when I watched her play, it gave me a much a very, very good picture of what exactly she was talking about and what the struggles were. So I think I enjoyed it a lot more that way. But you also got to catch it, right? With some friends. What do you think of it?
And I mean, I really liked it, man. The concept is essentially this DJ played by Joe Tan with a guest who comes on a radio show amidst like the world going to shit because there's a disease out there that causes people to go up in flames, lah. Yeah, and she still needs to keep it happy and positive, and it's so weird, but weird in a good way.
Yeah.
And I know. I mean, when I went with my friends, everybody liked it. I think it's one of those that, it leaves you with a weird feeling inside. So kudos to her, man. Like, it stopped its run already, but I hope they bring it back because it's so weird. It's good.
Yeah.
So kudos to Jota. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that people who heard our podcast and enjoyed it, like at least one or two of you, tried to make it to the play also, lah. Because I think it's a very unique, telling of a story that really, you think about it, it really captured like everything that happened in the past 3 years for a lot of people, right? The isolation because of COVID, and sort of everyone starting to work from home and coming to terms with what is the value I bring to the world. If I can't wear a suit and go to the office and things like that as well, right? So yeah, there's a lot more themes. It's more than just about Joe's personal story about being a DJ. I think there's a lot of themes that we've all been grappling with the last few years as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, shout out to Jo Tan and her team. It was great.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you, what's your one Shiok thing?
Yeah, that was also going to be my one Shiok thing, but I figured at least one of us would bring it up. So I have something else.
Yeah.
Okay. It is. I think I mentioned before my creative man crush on Donald Glover, right? About how he's so annoyingly talented. For those of you who don't know Donald Glover, I mean, you definitely have seen some of his stuff. He also goes by the name of Childish Gambino. So he acted on Community. He created his own show, Atlanta. He won 5 Grammy Awards as a rapper. He made This Is America, the video that went viral a few years ago. But recently, he has actually started his own production studio. And it's called Gilga, Gilga, in homage to Gilgamesh. So I mean, there was an article on GQ that talks about his dreams for that, and essentially he bought a orange farm, and he's making it his creative hub, and he just wants to work, in his words, with the most talented people in every possible medium. They are raising capital and feels like they really want to build something, and he said they just want to. How he describes it is that there's so much shit out there, so much content that there needs to be a filter, and he wants Gilga to be a filter. So they'll be creating original stuff. But I just thought the article was very nicely written and just an exploration of Donald Glover and how he's so freakingly talented.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a nice article. And even the website, when they were hiring, the way they described the jobs was quite cool. Like the designer is just someone who makes shit look good, as opposed to that long descriptions. And I think over the span of a couple of days, they got thousands of applications, understandably. So yeah, so just reading the article was nice. He's such a weird and talented guy.
That's cool. I feel like I haven't engaged with his stuff for a while.
Yeah. But cool, man.
Need to go back to finish up Community.
Community. Yeah. Correct. Cool. All right. First podcast of the week in the bag.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks.